So this week on Knowledge Center, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Typically I sit here and tell you stuff, but instead I'm gonna show you things. So in the other room, we're gonna show you what Adobe Creative Cloud can do for you and what you can do with it. Let's go take a look. For your benefit, I have aligned up 3 different angles for you. There's of course this angle, and then there is of course the hands angle, and then there's of course the angle of the computer screen. So what we're gonna do is just kind of waltz in here and open up your browser of choice. Let's just do a Google search for Adobe Creative Cloud. And what you'll see here is that's already been clicked on before by me. Or you could of course navigate directly by the link there. Okay, so when you get onto this page, you're gonna see this, Make It Creative Cloud. So what you're gonna wanna do is choose a plan right here, this upper blue button. And here you'll see the options for where you can purchase a plan and what those kind of look like in terms of pricing. Really, ultimately, this is the best deal you can get if you're kind of just doing this for fun. You know, even if you are running a business, you know, it's still honestly very cheap per license, and typically that will give you all the apps, whereas, you know, a single app's about 20 bucks a month if you only use one of these apps. You know, it may be worth your while. Maybe all you use is Photoshop and you're a photographer or something. But even then, you know, there's things like Lightroom, which are also very good for your photos. So, you know, even photographers typically will use multiple programs. So that's why I typically would recommend people get the $50 a month package, just because, again, you get everything. The Adobe stock thing, you know, if you really can't find content to use and you're really looking for stock footage, yeah, that's a great option. But I couldn't tell you for sure because I haven't tried it. Let's see here. There is also the option for student and teacher packages. So if you are a student at like I believe it's even high school level, possibly, it might not be actually. I think you have to provide a university email address in order to get registered into the system. So since I've already actually bought in the apps, I just am going to sign in right now. Never. Okay. Let's go back to the main page. That first page we were on right here now, instead of choose plans, it's going to show up as download apps. So this is what we're going to want to do. We're going to want to go to download apps. You're going to see Creative Cloud and a bunch of the other apps. Typically, I will just download Creative Cloud because if you click on any of those apps, it's just going to make you download Creative Cloud. Kind of a weird loop system, but it works. So now we're going to download it. It's going down the downloads folder. We're going to shut down Safari just in case. So I do have another profile open on the other side. So now let's open this up. Okay, so double click to install. And we're going to open this up, even though it could potentially contain viruses. That's okay. Bring it on. Now it's going to unzip. So it may be a little confusing at first if you've never used it, but think of this as a portal program to your other programs that you use. But it doesn't stop at that. It's more than that. I'll show you. So once you log in, it's going to ask you for your password and your login or your email address. And if you navigate to home, it typically, I think, defaults to stock just because it wants you to get stock. What you're going to want to do is the home page, the home tab, you can pretty much go to shortcut links and go to, such as, you know, download your apps, or, you know, sync your files, because you have the option to basically have a cloud drive. Sync fonts from Typekit. Typekit's amazing. If you're ever looking for, you know, lots of different kinds of fonts, you know, that's one of the things I do also really like about this is you just have to download it, sync it with Typekit, and then it'll start working with all your other programs. At least in terms of Adobe Creative Cloud, I'm not too sure if your Typekit fonts will work in other programs, but even then, fonts in general are pretty easy to install. So at least it's nice to have a website to be able to link to and easily be able to access those fonts. You also have the ability to link your account with Behance, which is kind of a social media platform you can use to show people your arts in different, not just art, but you know, all sorts of different mediums, really. Basically, it's also going to show, you know, some activity streams, some, you know, updates from Adobe and Creative Cloud, and, you know, of course, I just synced about 95 fonts a minute ago because it pulled all the fonts that I had.
from my other type kit, synced from another computer. Now it's syncing over here automatically. So I guess that would be the good benefit, you know, as opposed to having them installed on the machine. You know, having it through Typekit, they're going to automatically sync to all your computers through Adobe Creative Cloud. We will navigate to the apps section, which if you see it, it's going to organize the apps in this fashion. You can see the ones I've downloaded have open. It's pulling the data from another user profile. That's why they're showing that they're already installed. It's not just going to automatically install that quickly. So when you freshly install this, everything will be install. So it's easy as clicking on one of these. Let's see, let's go ahead and let's do Prelude. So Prelude, press continue, gonna give you some stuff. It's gonna show waiting, and of course you've seen this before, a progress bar. It's brilliant. But also, in addition to that, you have the ability to easily update in the same spot you would install it. So it's gonna show it in blue if it needs to be installed. Of course, when it's done installing, it's gonna show in that white. That way you can easily discern which ones are which. Of course, when you open these up, you can drag these down to your own, you know, dock, whether it be Windows or Mac, whatever you have. That way you can easily access them. So other than that, it's pretty much a matter of keeping these updated, and whatever apps you have on there, you know, whatever ones you're using, this is where you're gonna find them. So assets. This is kind of that area where I was talking about, where you have the ability for cloud drive. And I'm just honestly realizing now that I have 100 gig storage on here, which is pretty great. I honestly thought I had 5, so great surprise to me. But hey, I'm not too sure what your subscription is going to look like. So basically, when you open up the folder, it's going to show this, and the green check marks are that it's synced on the server. If you upload it, it's going to show some blue arrows. Matter of fact, I'll show you kind of what that looks like. So if you have a file, let's say, it was recently Christmas, so it's going to show that. Kind of a back and forth arrow. And then once that syncs and it shows a green arrow, I can go onto another machine and of course, you know, access that file. It's great for, obviously you can understand the applications it's great for, you know, whether it be sharing photos or video assets or, you know, graphical assets. It's great for all that stuff. You can view it on the web. You don't have to view it on the Creative Cloud app, but honestly, why not? So fonts, you have the ability to see what fonts you have here. And of course it will find, you know, fonts with the same name and automatically do it clean for you. That way it's all organized consistently. And of course you can sync the fonts. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to a separate website. And this is where you can find all your fonts. So let's exit out of that. Go back in. So market. So yeah, there's lots of different options here. You can kind of browse some ideas, you know, maybe download something and incorporate something over the top of it. The only thing I would, you know, make sure to advise with is making sure that you're not getting anything name brand, of course, not violating any copyright rules. Stock photos. This is where you go here, you search it. Obviously, as you can see, millions of high quality royalty-free photos, graphics, and videos to jumpstart your creative projects. So you can literally go in here and search away. Discovery, it's kind of a little bit of a social media in a sense. This is where we would add some of our stuff to our Behance profile. If that's your game, again, however you want to utilize this will be up to you, but just know that when you're paying that $50, or whether it's one app at $20, or whether it's a business at a couple $100 per licenses, it's actually $69 per license. But if you're at that level, you know, you have these options to utilize and make something. Honestly, Creative Cloud's a great program. It's going to organize everything that you do creatively, and just truthfully honest, the interweaving between all the programs is really what has attracted me to Creative Cloud for this long of a time. And you know, that is really where the magic is for me in terms of being efficient.
So that's the Adobe Creative Cloud. There's a lot of programs there. Try not to be overwhelmed, but really it's more of a matter of how can these tools help you as a creative. So use them, they're there, and they're great.